So what's your key to safe diving? With SDI, we use ABCD&E. It's more than just the first 5 letters of the alphabet. Stick with us. We're going to be talking about buddy checks, better known as pre-dive safety checks. Hi folks, Bob Collins for the Divers Channel. We're going to be covering pre-dive safety checks, and I really wished I had somebody to help me do this. Oh my gosh, it's Mikey the instructor. Mike, have you done your pre-dive safety checks yet? Would you like to do pre-dive safety checks? In SDI, we use ABCDE, and it makes it pretty easy to remember. With A, what are we talking about with A for pre-dive safety check?
Air.
So in air, I'm going to have you as my dive buddy. And remember, folks, the pre-dive safety checks are not for you per se. It's for you to make sure your buddy has everything correct so that he doesn't mess up your dive or you don't mess up his dive. So I'm going to ask him again to breathe off his primary regulator. Okay, good. I'm going to breathe off of his OCTO because I want to know it works before I get down there and need it, right? We've checked the regulators. Now, we also want to make sure the tank valve's turned on all the way. So I'm going to reach back here. I'm going to turn the tank valve all the way on, make sure, and turn it back and just a little bit back. And then we're also going to turn around, back around. So we're going to make sure we check the pressure gauge. What happens, why are we doing this? If this was a surface interval, a dive after a surface interval, and Mike made the mistake and moved his gear from his near empty tank to somebody else's near empty tank instead of to his fresh tank, then he could do these pre-dive safety checks. He could breathe off the reg, but when we look at the gauge, all of a sudden we see maybe 300, 400, 500 PSI. It happens.
More than you think.
Yeah, so we want to make sure we take a look at that gauge and make sure we've got a full tank of air, okay? B has to do with buoyancy. So I'm going to ask Mike to inflate his BCD. Okay, and then he's going to check his deflates. Right shoulder dump, good. And he's going to reach around and check his butt dump back there. Now remember, buoyancy is about positive buoyancy, neutral buoyancy, which is what that inflate deflate's all about. And on the BCD, what causes us to have negative buoyancy? Weights, right? So if I reach down, I could ask him, do you have your weights in? And he could lie to me or think, not really think he's lying to me. But if I just put my hand here and lift up and there's 6 pounds of lead in there, I can feel it. You don't have to take the pocket out and check it. You could just lift it and make sure, yep, there's 6 pounds of lead or whatever it happens to be. Also, in checking our BCD, I want to glance and look to see what the disconnects are, what the releases are on the BCD in case I need to get him out of it. Because Mike's a pretty big guy. I don't think I can drag him up on the boat wearing this 30 or 40 pounds worth of equipment, okay? So I want to get him out of it. One release we don't want to forget is back here on the back. We want to make sure we're checking that tank cam strap. We want to make sure that it's properly threaded and that the Velcro is sealed down so it's not going to catch on somebody else's wetsuit, pop that loose, and now we've got a loose tank we're trying to deal with underwater. C, computer, right? All right, so are you diving nitrox?
Yes.
Okay, so what's your mix?
32%.
And what have you got your computer set for toxicity?
I've got it set for 1.4.
Okay, so what's your mod?
My MOD is 111.
Okay, so I'm diving 36. My MOD is a little shallower. My MOD is actually 96 feet, so we're going to need to go with my mod.
profile,
Okay,
yeah.
my profile. All right, so that's A, B, C, and of course D has to do with dive gear. So we see he's got his mask, he's got those big fins on that he walked out here with, and of course, remember, the diver is part of what makes this whole thing work. And you were telling me about partying this morning until 3 o'clock?
What are you talking about?
Yeah. So we're on a 7 o'clock dive boat, and he's talking about partying until 3 o'clock this morning. Do I really want to be diving with him? Maybe I'm going to go over to the dive master and say, hey, you dive with him, I'm going to dive with these other people. All right? So remember, the diver is part of the dive gear. And lastly, we've got E. And what does E have to do?
Entry.
Entry. So depends on what?
Hey, small boat, big boat, beach entry, diving off a deck, going off a deck, or something like that.
Exactly. So it's about entry, the type. Maybe we're doing a control seated, a giant stride, a back roll, whatever it happens to be.
Or even a simple walk-in from the beach.
Yeah, exactly. So that's your A, B, C, D, E. Easy to remember, okay? But remember the finer points in it. Practice it. You'll get a lot out of it. And lastly, not part of pre-dive safety check, but it has to do with dive planning. So briefly, dive planning, things like
Hand signals.
hand signals, using the same hand signals.
Right.
Communicating air,
Yep.
all right?
Yeah, because we might have two different ways we do it.
Yeah, I may have never dove with him before, and maybe he's using different hand signals for certain things, okay? And also, when was the last time he dove? Who's
That-
going to lead this dive?
Good to know.
So you're going to lead the first one,
Yep.
and I'll lead the second one.
Sounds good
And
to
our
me.
dive plan is we're going to go down and what? I'm going to follow you around the wreck or whatever.
Yeah, we'll come down to the depth that we talked about. We'll swim around the wreck for a while. We'll check air periodically and make sure that we're staying on top of that. And then when we reach 800 PSI,
Okay.
we'll
all right.
come together and come back up.
So 800 is going to be our low on air point. We'll get together, go up, and we're going to stop. I always stop at a safety stop,
Right?
okay? And then we'll come up, have plenty of air to get back on the boat. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. So that's dive planning added to your pre-dive safety check. So folks, if you like the videos we produce for you, put us a comment down there at the bottom. Doesn't cost anything. Please hit that like, that thumbs up button. And of course, if you've never subscribed to the Divers Supply Divers channel, please subscribe. Doesn't cost anything, and then you get the latest and a little notification when our videos come out. And all of our new subscribers, we've had almost 30 new subscribers just in the past 3 weeks. So we thank you for subscribing. And again, as we say around here, dive
Dive safe.
safe.